to be an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball here at PNC Park in Pittsburgh. It's game number 3 between the Cardinals and the Pirates as the Cardinals look to salvage one game of this 3-game set and pick up 2 wins on the road trip. It's been a struggle in all facets of the game. The offense only hitting .219 with 15 extra base hits on this trip. Pitching 1-4 with an ERA that's close to 7. With Al Raboski, I'm Dan McLaughlin, and welcome to the broadcast booth. And we're getting you ready now for game number 3, our first pitch just moments away. Al, when you think about tonight, Mitchell Boggs might be the right guy to stop this losing skid because when he's on the mound, the Cardinals haven't lost.
That's right. He's made 3 starts. He's 1-0, and the Cardinals have seen a victory every time he's made a start. As you look at all the starters, though, they all have a winning record. Boggs by far the best, but those losses have been catching up. That's
a look at our Toyota keys to the game, and that's Mitchell Boggs making the start tonight against Jeff Karstens. Boggs at times has been very good. He wasn't very good, though, last time out against Pittsburgh.
Got in trouble walking people, and the pitch count got up there, so hopefully he can rectify that. It's a very important start with knowing that Carpenter's around the corner from returning.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to this one. It's game 3 tonight. The Cardinals and the Pirates. Skip Schumacher, his first home run of the season last night. He'll lead it off when we come back. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. With just the right taste that never fills you up, the difference is drinkability. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire, for the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. And by Chevy, see your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. Well, how about these Pirates? They've won 2 straight over the Cardinals after dropping 8 straight, 12 of 13. But they have looked like a completely different team in this series, and the same can be said for the Cardinals going in the other direction. A look at this lineup for St. Louis. Skip Schumacher homered last night. He'll lead it off and batting .306. Shane Robinson ahead of Albert Pujols. We'll see those 3 in the first. Then Chris Duncan, Yadier Molina, Colby Rasmus, Tyler Green, Joe Thurston, and the pitcher Mitchell Boggs. Pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates are Marshall Wireless starter Jeff Karstens of the Pirates.
Another pitcher that was acquired in that Nady trade a year ago at the trading deadline. He has never faced the Cardinals, 26 years of age. They say when he keeps the ball in the ballpark, does not allow home runs, or he does walk people, he's got a chance to beat you. A lot of soft stuff away.
The defense behind Karstens tonight is always presented by Auto Tire. Niger Morgan in left, Nate McLouth in center. Brandon Moss, a good series, he's in right. Eric Hensky is first start at third. Jack Wilson at shortstop. Freddie Sanchez at second base. Adam LaRoche over at first. Robinson Diaz is filling in for Ryan Domet and doing a fine job. He's behind the plate. And the pitcher, as we mentioned, the 26-year-old Jeff Karstens. Tony La Russa trying to find the right combination. And so far, he's coming up short. Pitching, defense, hitting, just about everything going wrong right now in the wrong direction for the Cardinals. Here's our Domino's first pitch of the game, and it's Karstens to Skip Schumacher.
First time the Cardinals have gotten a look at this right-hander. And Schumacher, who hit a home run his first of the year last night's ball game. Cardinals just need a lot of runners. And one thing, Dan, that they have not been doing of late is walking much. They received a lot of walks. He had a lot of guys on base in April, but in May, everything has just gone south.
1 ball, 1 strike on the Cardinal leadoff man, Schumacher. Pulls it to the first baseman, Adam LaRoche. He'll commit the air, and the leadoff man is on. Maybe that's what the Cardinals need to get things going, a little bit of luck.
LaRoche's first error of the season, and he's a very solid defender, so very surprising. And just a little tapper right here that gets under his glove. He loses sight of it, and that's all it takes to get the Cardinals leadoff man on base.
Didn't get in front of it either, but look at him trying to backhand it.
Yeah, you know, it's today's players. It's amazing how nobody wants to get in front of a baseball. It's so much easier to catch a ball when you're squared up to it.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the kind of play, too, where he could have circled it and gotten in front of it instead of the backhand.
Yes, it wasn't hit hard at all. He had plenty of time to get in front of it. Much easier than backhanding the ball.
Here's Shane Robinson. And with the Cardinals not scoring runs, This might be a guy you think about the hit and run with Shane Robinson. He has guided some of the balls we've seen hard hit to right off his bat.
And it also makes sense when you're trying to jumpstart your offense. Hal McRae told me that they expect a lot of pitches away to the batters, so something soft out there hit behind the runner.
Short lead at first by Skip. There he goes, and the hit and run was on, but pulled foul. Tony La Russa telling us that Shane Robinson will see an extended amount of playing time. They want to see what they have in this guy because he was a spark plug in spring, as he was the guy that they would always bring over to fill in the big league games. So they want to see what they've got.
Dan, I've always been impressed with Tony La Russa's attitude. You know, he worries about what he has and not what he doesn't have. And he's missing a whole bunch of offense, about 300 RBIs in the middle of his offense. But he won't concentrate or dwell on that. He'll just talk about if these young players don't, get overexposed or, maybe more importantly, think that they can handle things right here and just keep things in perspective, they can do all right.
There's the curveball and a double play. Sanchez leaves it for Wilson in the double play, 4-6-3. You talked about it last night. Up the middle, this infield with Sanchez and Wilson. Not only are they very good hitters, what we've seen in recent years, but how about their defense in this series?
It's been the difference. It's been the difference in this two-game series already. But look at this. As you see, nearly 300 RBIs from a year ago is missing in Ludwig, Gloss, and Ankiel. You're talking about your 2, 4, and 5 hitters in the lineup.
Hal, that's 89 home runs from a year ago. 113 RBIs for Ludwig, 99 for Gloss. I mean, that's a lot. 89 home runs combined with Ankiel, Ludwig, and Gloss from a year ago. So the 4-6-3 double play, and here's Pujols.
And other than Albert, you go out there and, one year, a couple years ago, Duncan had 70 RBIs, but, it's a drop-off, dramatic drop-off in RBI production. They can pitch around Albert now.
Pujols is 3 for 19 on this series. Talking with Hal McRae, the Cardinal hitting coach, before the game, he said right now you're seeing him really get underneath the ball, and that's when you know that he's not quite right. He also said even during this little slump, we haven't seen him expand the zone like most hitters when they're 3 for 19. He said that Pujols is just a different guy.
Well, and they're so worried about him trying to do too much. If they want to walk you, go ahead and accept the walk. They're going to pitch around him as much as possible. Try and let Albert get himself out by his own admission. He's not locked in right now. He's had a tough road trip, as all the Cardinals have had, whether you're talking about offensively, defensively, pitching-wise. 2-2
pitch. Pujols hits it sharply to third, backhanded by Henske. Got him. Good play by the third baseman tonight, Henske. And Pujols is 3 for 20 on the trip. Well, there's no score here in the bottom of the first. Folks make their way over the Clemente Bridge. They shut that down about an hour before the first pitch. And the folks can walk over that bridge in no traffic. Nyjer Morgan will lead it off, followed by Sanchez, McLouth, LaRoche, Diaz, Henske, Moss, Wilson, and Karstens. Brandon Moss is seen his average now jump to 213 with a very fine series. And tonight's starter for the Cardinals is Mitchell Boggs, working on 8 days rest, and his numbers presented by Marshall Wireless.
Making his 4th start, Cardinals have won all 3 of his previous starts. He's 1-0 himself. And the last time out was against these Buccos, where only 4 1/3 innings as the pitch count got up there with a lot of walks.
That was the big problem in that start against the Pirates, and showing bunt Morgan, trying to distract Boggs. 2 balls and 1 strike. Morgan is hitting .303, no home runs, 17 RBIs, but you always notice the on-base percentage for a leadoff man, and his is at .373.
17 RBIs is a lofty total for a leadoff man.
So it's just 8 days ago for Mitchell Boggs, 4 1/3, and it took 85 pitches to get through that game. 4 1/3, 2 runs on 5 hits, but the walks, the big issue in that start. That was his only start against Pittsburgh, as Morgan will foul this down the left field line. Over the past 2 seasons, the Cardinals actually have played fairly well behind Mitchell Boggs. He's 4-2, ERA over 6. Cardinals, as we mentioned, have won all 3 of his starts this year. That slapped the other way. The strikeouts, something that Boggs also has done quite well. 18 innings going into this start and 19 strikeouts.
He's done a nice job in that department. He's averaging about 4.5 walks per 9 innings.
And there's a leadoff walk. That's not what you want to do.
A very important start for Mitchell Boggs as Trey LaRusse and Dave Duncan. They're going to see Carpenter be a little more intensified with his pitching tomorrow.
A look at the defense. Duncan, Rasmus, Robinson in the outfield, Thurston, Green, Schumacher, and Pujols along the infield, and Yadier Molina is behind the plate. The Auto Tire defense. Here's Freddie Sanchez. Healthy and putting up typical numbers for the second baseman of the Pirates. 323, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs. And Morgan is a threat to steal. There's good speed at first.
Freddie's been a doubles machine this year.
With 14 on the year.
14.
That leads the National League. Closing in on 20 extra base hits. That's a strike on the outside corner.
Former batting champion in the National League. And, you know, a guy that doesn't hit for a lot of power, but can get in the gaps for those 14 doubles.
He's hit the Cardinals very well this year, well above 300. 0-1 pitch. Instead, a check on the runner at first, Nyjer Morgan.
Morgan already has 9 steals, but he's been caught 5 times. Not a good percentage.
John Russell, let's see if they want to put some pressure here on the Cardinals, and in particular Mitchell Boggs. 8 days rest. That also, you know, times can be good, but sometimes early on when you have that much rest, you worry a little bit too.
Control problems. That usually is, you know, defining the strike zone is usually troublesome.
This is popped up, but behind home plate, not a play. Nice play made by a fan. No balls, 1 strike. We're just underway here in Pittsburgh at PNC Park, and the Cardinals trying to avoid the sweep. Last night it was the 3rd series loss in the last 4 for the Cardinals. You've had Cincinnati, the Phillies, and Washington. They have beaten the Cardinals. Redbirds have dropped 7 of the past 10 and no longer in first place.
Right. Fell out of first place. Cubbies have already won today. They have the same win-loss record as the Cardinals. 20 and 14. But Milwaukee wins. They leapfrog over. And Cincinnati is idle today.
Cincinnati's a much better team than most people thought going into the season. Really have improved their team defense. No Dunn, no Griffey. That's going to help because Griffey was not the same player that he was in years past. Dunn didn't cover that much ground. Different team and good young pitching.
Covered a lot of ground just standing out there, but
big man, he can do that. What do you see with Boggs? Why is he inconsistent with so many of his starts so far, going back to last year and this year at the major league level?
Well, I think a lot of it is just that, you know, he's learning at this level that he's equal to the major leaguers. He's made a lot of improvements from last season.
Runner goes and a good jump and fouled back.
Hit and runners on as Freddie expanded the zone trying to protect his base runner. And that's one aspect of Pirates. You know, when you get a Sanchez, Jack Wilson, guys like that are pretty good, you know, hit and run types.
1-2 the count.
The consistency on Boggs' breaking ball is really the question mark also. When he can throw the breaking ball for strikes to go along with his 93, 94 mile an hour fastball, he's got something working.
And that's fouled back again by Sanchez. Mitchell Boggs is 25 years old from Dalton, Georgia. 170th overall pick in 2005, the 5th round. He initially committed to a baseball scholarship to Georgia, and you see Morgan what he's done this season. But he missed football, did Mitchell Boggs. Transferred to UT Chattanooga, then went back to Georgia as a sophomore, wanted to focus on baseball. Sticks the bat out, that's a base hit. Drops in front of Colby Rasmus, and the first two have reached.
Not pretty, but effective as he just kind of reaches out there, plunks one out there. But, you know, he makes contact. He doesn't have that vicious swing. A breaking ball and just got enough on it to plunk it over the infield. Good example. If you put the ball in play, good things can happen.
Nate McLouth now with runners at first and second. Here come the Pirates. It's a Pirates team that's only hitting .256, but you wouldn't know it watching the last couple of games. In particular, LaRoche has stepped it up. Nyjer Morgan has had a good series. Moss, those three with 11 hits and 9 RBIs in this series.
They totally outplayed the Cardinals in every aspect. They've got much better starting pitching. Their defense has been spectacular in timely hitting.
2 balls and no strikes. And Boggs is now in a jam here in this first inning.
Boggs, knowing that Carpenter will be activated sometime on the homestand, it appears that he's pitching really right now for, you know, to stay in the Cardinals bullpen.
Joel Pinheiro last night, his 3rd loss after 4 consecutive wins. Did not allow a walk for the 3rd time, but gave up 11 hits in the game, and 5 of those were doubles. 3-1.
And Dan, what a difference. The Cardinals made about 12 outs up the middle. Only 1 ball got through, and, you know, went off the bat of Albert in the 9th inning for an RBI. But, you know, Dave Duncan felt like at least 5 balls, same spots, went up the middle for base hits.
That is ripped down the right field line, but foul. Well, that was hard hit. He was ready for it on a 3-1 pitch. It's now 3-2.
Pitching behind in the count frequently becomes a little bit more to where they can, you know, think of pitches in a hitter's count and ready for it.
She's right by that Bucko blast sign. Some of the home runs and make it out into the river.
She's ready to change that number. If somebody hits one out, it says 12.
The 3-2 instead a check on the runners. On deck, Adam LaRoche, who's hitting the ball very well in this series, and here at home he's hitting .321. Well, Tyler Green is the shortstop tonight, trying to keep that runner close at second. The good speed of Nyjer Morgan. Outfield is deep, and here comes a 3-2. Popped up. This should be an out. Green, outfield grass, makes the catch. Look at where he wound up. He had a pretty long way to go, and he looks back at Duncan saying, whoa.
Well, but he signaled that it was his ball right away, and so Duncan realized that and really was kind of laying back. But he ended up backpedaling about, what, 10, 15 more yards out into the outfield.
And again, he's trying to hold that runner close, so a long way to go for him to get that pop-up. First and second now with 1 out. That was a big out. Let's see if the Cardinals can't get a double play and then Boggs settle in for this game. LaRoche hit the ball off the top of the wall last night, and history was made here at PNC. Replay with that ball off the top of the wall initially ruled a home run, and then they went to New York where they replay those situations, and clearly it showed it off the top of the wall.
Did you also see where they had a reversal of a home run call in Milwaukee last night?
We'll see Milwaukee, who is one of the hottest teams now in baseball. They'll make their way to St. Louis. First of 3 tomorrow night, and the first of a 9-game homestand for the Cardinals.
Step off as Boggs threw that pitch with a shortstop out of position. Speaking of Milwaukee, the Pirates have lost 17 straight times to the Brewers.
17
straight times. That's part of the reason why they had lost 8 straight, because they had to visit to Milwaukee.
Here's a 1-1. Pulled foul.
And they're trying to avoid their 17th consecutive losing season. And Rich Donnelly told me that last year he thinks that the The Cubs beat the Pirates 17 out of 18 times.
Is that right? That's one thing that plays into the start for the Cardinals, is that they've faced this Pirates team a lot. Already 6 times at home. They don't even make it back to St. Louis. There's a swing and a miss. Good breaking ball by Boggs, and his first strikeout of the night. So he's an out away from getting out of the jam. Well, if you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals television broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For details, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. This guy has played very well. Robinson Diaz, who's a backup catcher for Doman, chops one towards third. Joe Thurston the play as he flips over to Pujols, and Boggs is out of the jam. Pirates strand 2. Duncan leads it off when we come back. Beautiful skyline of the Steel City of Pittsburgh. Keith O'Brien, who is working in our truck, has come up with some baseball fun facts. We'll have this throughout our telecast this season. The 30 teams in the major leagues combined to use 900,000 baseballs in a season. $72 a dozen. That adds up to $5.5 million in baseballs. Now, when you were playing, Al, a guy would have a foul tip, maybe just dribble one down the first baseline, foul, or third. Didn't make the seats. It was right back to the pitcher.
Right back in play.
And as a pitcher, you probably wanted that.
Oh, there were times when I actually saw the seams break on a baseball being hit. You know, Bob Forsch was a seam ripper, and he would try to, you know, rip at those seams to try to get them up higher, which helps the breaking pitches.
If you ever seen a college baseball game, take a look at that baseball as compared to what the major leaguers are using now, and scouts will tell you they're very careful about guys that are slider or curveball pitchers in college because of the ball that they use.
And they're all slider and breaking ball pitchers there.
There's a big breaking ball by Karstens, in for a strike. Now, this is a industry that had over $1 billion with a B dollars last year, Major League Baseball. So 5.5, while it's quite a lot of money, it's all going towards the actual use of a baseball.
Right. It's become about a $4 or $5 billion industry now.
There's a swing and a miss by Duncan. They've got him on those changeups a few times in this series, in the first strikeout for Karstens.
Well, that's what they're going to continue to do. All these off-speed pitches, that's a great location. But particularly the left-handers, the Pirates pitching staff has established that they're going to throw an awful lot of changeups to the left-handed hitters. Everything's going to be away primarily. If you watch the catcher, you know, he will set up when he's trying to get you out. He'll set up predominantly away, pitch inside for effect.
2-0 to the Cardinal catcher Molina. Yadier's hitting .302 with 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. 2-0 pitch. Karstens is 26 from Tampa, Florida. As you talked about, Al, he was in that Marte Nady deal. Pirates received Ohlendorf as a part of that, last night's starter. Karstens here. Also Daniel McCutcheon, who almost made their team, and Jose Tabata, who they like as well. And Karstens, one of those guys that was originally drafted as a catcher. 45th round back in 2000 by the Expos. Did not sign. Went to Grossmont Junior College and then 1 year at Texas Tech in the Big 12. And at that point, he was a pitcher and then drafted in the 19th round by the New York Yankees. Molina, base hit into right. Yankees really gave up some young, good pitching, looks like, in that deal.
Really did.
This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, David Wright and the Mets head to Frisco. They'll battle Benji Molina. And the Giants, or Grady Sizemore, leads the Indians into Tampa to take on Evan Longoria and the defending American League champion Rays. Fox Saturday Baseball this week at 3 on Fox.
Paired a lot of salary, got young pitching in return. You get a couple starters. You got you got some depth at the minor league level. Good young players to the future.
Colby Rasmus out to deep right field. No doubt about it. It's out of here. Wow. A long home run for Colby. And it's 2-0 Cardinals on his second of the year. Into the Allegheny it goes.
That's the one thing they're concerned about, Carson's, is allowing home runs. He didn't give up a home run the last time out, but every start prior to this, or prior to that one, he gave up a home run. It's his 6th home run he's allowed, and it's about every 5th hit is a long ball. And there was no doubt about Kobe in that blast.
So 5 home runs in his first 4 starts. Last start for Karstens, 6 innings. He gave up 2 runs and 7 hits, and that home run into the Allegheny for Mr. Colby Rasmus.
Wasn't exactly like in San Francisco, was it? You know, you got a net out there, but no kayakers.
Here's Tyler Green, the starting shortstop tonight. Khalil Green is on the bench. They'd like to get Khalil going. It's been a struggle.
Just looks like he's, you know, off a step or two offensively, defensively.
A lot of times, Tony La Russa, if you're struggling, he'll give you that night off to take extra BP, clear your mind on that bench, and watch video. He wants you to take advantage of that time off.
Sure, you know, it's not, you know, it's not a benching or to penalize you. It's just something like, okay, just relax mentally. But it does create an opportunity for Tyler Green to see what he can do. But it's been an aspect is the Cardinals defense has been a little rusty.
3-2 on Tyler Green with 1 out, nobody on. And he lines it into right center field for a base hit. So 3 consecutive hits for the Cardinals, a single, 2-run homer by Rasmus, and now the single by Tyler Green. And it brings in Joe Thurston.
It's really been a late bloomer offensively, but he uses his hands, pulls them in with an inside-out stroke going to right field. Robinson Diaz, the young catcher, out to talk to Karstens.
Karstens basically looked at getting traded from the Yankees. For him personally, is a complete new beginning because he only made 15 appearances with New York. 9 of those were starts, and he was injured an awful lot. As you see, the average for Thurston with 1 home run and 14 RBIs. For Karstens, it was a strained elbow, had a groin injury at the beginning of spring training last year. Also dealt with a broken leg. Made a start at Fenway Park, and Julio Lugo of the Red Sox lined one back off his leg. Stayed in the game briefly, tried to pitch through it, and then eventually it was later revealed he had a broken leg. So injuries really curtailed his progress with the Yankees. They don't have much patience. Quick move that time.
It's so odd because in years past, guys didn't go on the disabled list usually until about their last or second to last season in the big leagues. You know, just didn't use the disabled list like they do today.
And now it seems like, not that it's encouraged by teams, but if they've made a significant investment into a young player and if they feel that an elbow's hurt or a shoulder's hurt, shut it down.
And many times you have to rush a guy to the big leagues to, you know, get some kind of compensation for the money that you sign him to. That they do a much better job of protecting the players. And a little quick throw right there, and almost got Green napping.
Which I think will be interesting to see how Washington handles that first pick if they take the pitcher from San Diego State. And you made a great point. If Scott Boras wants $30–40 million and they feel that, and everybody, the scouts say he's once in a lifetime get if you can get him. Thurston pops it up. Then do you say, as Diaz makes the catch, all right, we'll look at $30–40 million, but he starts in the big leagues right away. And let's try to get some crowds out and get some money.
Well, it would be the first time, and that's not always the way you want to bring a guy to the big leagues. But when you ask for that kind of money, you have to get a return on it. And they're saying with the Nationals, he could go right into their rotation. Right now, he's that good. But a lot of other people will say you put too much pressure on a young arm and you're just asking for an injury.
Mitchell Boggs takes a strike. Karstens has had 3 starts at PNC Park this year here at home. Walks have been a problem for him, just like for Boggs. 15 innings, 11 walks, but opponents only hitting .236 at home against him. This has been the spot, in talking with some of the Pirates people, that they want to see him bear down and finish off innings. With 2 outs, the opposing hitters are batting .351, closing out innings. Pretty telling stat.
I was just thinking exactly that. It's a telling stat, and one that many times you make a player aware of it, then he can control it. You know, then he can bear down.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Now this is a little easier situation, you would figure, with Boggs at the plate, the opposing pitcher. Not a position player here. 1-2 the count. Runner at first is Tyler Green, following his base hit. Ball scoots away, but not far enough for Green to advance to second. Speaking with Tyler Green, congratulations to he and his wife Jenny, as they're expecting their first child, a baby boy, at the end of September. Telling me that before the game.
Holding his breath already, huh?
He is. Big shift is on here for Boggs, and a swing and a miss. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 2 in the game, but the rookie Colby Rasmus picks up his second. He now has 10 RBIs, and the Cardinals have a lead. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. Just a great sight. PNC Park, as Colby Rasmus has given the Cardinals a 2-0 lead. Mentioned the name of Chris Carpenter. Big day for him tomorrow. Pitch at Busch Stadium, a simulated game. Out since April 14th with that torn oblique suffered in Arizona, as Boggs starts things off with a strike to Eric Hinsky. Been used as a pinch hitter primarily for John Russell, but Carpenter, and I said a simulated game, he's not going to face hitters, but they're going to try to simulate him sitting down and what that time would be between innings, just to see if it tightens up a little bit on that side.
Say you throw 15 pitches and then you'll sit down and simulate the other team or your team having their at-bats before you go back out there.
Over to get it, Colby Rasmus ranging to his right and makes the catch. So that's a big day for the Cardinals tomorrow. If everything goes well, you would figure Al, not knowing for sure, but probably skips the rehab. My guess, it goes into rotation.
A while back you say, well, the question is that a panic move? Now, right now, the way the rotation has struggled for Tony La Russa, you know, now anytime you can get your ace back, try to do it as quick as possible. And they'll use, you know, common sense. They'll be very smart with it. And also Carpenter knows how to deal with it too. But you just wonder how deep could he go into a game.
And the batter is Brandon Moss. Shallow left, Duncan. Now Moss has only been retired twice in this series. Quickly, 2 outs, and it brings in Jack Wilson. Don't forget about the kids alumni clinics. It's for boys and girls ages 7 to 13. Former Cardinal greats will be there at the various sites throughout the Metro St. Louis area. Check out the site closest to you at stlcardinals.com. 345-9891. Boys and girls, the Cardinals alumni kids clinics. And here's Jack Wilson.
Not surprising, Boggs walks the first batter and then gives a base hit. You know, trying to find that strike zone after the 8 days off.
Jack is hitting .273, and he's popping it up as well. Yadier Molina is there, and Boggs settles in here in the second inning. Top of the lineup coming up. Pujols due third here in Pittsburgh. North Star is making this Sunday extra special with ice cream sundaes beginning 2 hours prior to the game in the Ford Plaza. Music, fun, games. Don't forget free ice cream while supplies last. North Star ice cream sundaes. And we welcome Milwaukee into town tomorrow night. Milwaukee, Chicago, and the Royals in the upcoming homestand for the Cardinals. Schumacher reached on an error his first time up. Big breaking ball and a strike. Skip is batting .303. And quickly, no balls and 2 strikes. Tony La Russa talking about the transition of Skip Schumacher from the outfield to second base. Said it's extraordinary. That was his words used to describe it. He said he's never seen it in baseball for his own personal teams that he's dealt with. As Schumacher on an 0-2 pitch picks up a base hit, where an outfielder moves to the infield to play the middle infield. He said, certainly I've seen a lot of infielders go to the outfield, or outfielders play a corner position, in particular first, but never in his history in baseball has he seen this transition to middle infield.
The last time it happened with the Cardinals was Red Shanges, who from the outfield to second base, but in that case Red had been a minor league shortstop, so it wasn't that big a transition for him, but it is probably one of the rarest moves that you can make.
Here's Shane Robinson. They tried the hit and run at one point with these two. There's that curveball. Tony talked about Red Shandes. He also talked about George Kissel. Now those two had, in previous conversations, talked about Mike Shannon being a great athlete and able to move him around as well.
But as you said, there it goes to the corner.
Right. Short lead at first for Skip. 0-1 pitch. That's a fair ball. Only play is to go to first, and they just get Robinson by step.
Professor Kissel, was instrumental in helping Shannon go from the outfield to third base, but also remember him making Joe Torre catcher to third base, then over to first.
A look at our Firestone leaderboard. Nationally fewest walks for 9 innings. Danny Aaron, the former Cardinal, up there along with Joel Pinheiro, Ted Lilly of Chicago. Pujols grounded out to third his first time up. You see Ohlendorf, the starter from last night. Willie even pitched Albert Pujols with first base open, trailing 2-0 here in the third. And Tony talked about the fact that Duncan's health played in that decision to move Skip to second base. He said, look, I'm just trying to get the best players on the field. We knew he had a background in college of playing the infield, and we thought it might be tough, but we wanted to try it.
And it's not that he's a big body person, Schumacher. And he's very athletic, good athlete, so his body size is one that he probably make that middle infield transition. But second base is a little, and a lot of people just think that anybody can kind of go to second, or you see like Eckstein, they say, oh, he'd go to second base because his arm isn't that strong. But there are times when you need a very strong arm to play the position properly.
They've asked him to slow his footwork down and then make that strong throw. Talking about Schumacher. 1 ball, 1 strike on Pujols. Curveball hit out to center. As he flips his bat in disgust, Skip will tag up. Draws a throw. Strong throw from McLeod, and there's 2 away.
I'm sure Albert upset because he got a hanging breaking ball and got underneath it. That's one thing you've been a little concerned about with Albert is, he don't take on too much responsibility. The best hitter in the game. But when you got all the big guns, Ankiel, Gloss, Ludwig out, don't try and do too much. And right now he's kind of getting, it's home runs or nothing.
And again, it goes back to what Hal McRae told me before the game. If you see him getting underneath the ball, that usually means that Pujols isn't quite right.
And his home runs will come when he's trying to be a line drive hitter.
I asked Skip the other day about being a second baseman or an outfielder. What are you? He said, I'm a hybrid. He said, I'm not quite there at second base just yet.
In today's world, the hybrid's pretty popular.
That's what I told him. I said, you got a chance to make some money here. Play the infield, play the outfield.
You get any tax credits for it?
I know where you were going with that. Tony said, you do worry a little bit about his stress level, and I asked Skip, how stressful this has been for him, the transition. He said at home he's got a 25-minute ride From the ballpark to home, he says, that's my stress level there. I get it out then. Left center, McLeod. Oh, what a play! Takes the hit, and RBI away from Duncan. And he can't believe it. An outstanding play from Nate McLeod. Well, we have seen some defense in this series from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's continued here tonight. The Home Depot defensive play of the game. The Home Depot doing more on defense. You see in that camera angle, shaded him to pull. Long way to go. Tailing away from the center fielder, McLeod, and he comes up with a tremendous play.
Gold Glove winner a year ago is McLeod, and you are absolutely right. The defense the Pirates have played, particularly up the middle, second base, shortstop, and center field have been outstanding.
Hey, happy birthday to Virginia Cherry. 81 years young today. And CJ is her son. CJ, of course, has been working for the Cardinals for decades and with us here in Pittsburgh, helping us out. All the players out for so many years. So happy birthday to Virginia Cherry. And CJ said she never misses a telecast, and that includes at 81 years young when we're on the West Coast. Every inning of every game.
Very good.
So happy birthday.
And CJ, the traveling secretary, and does an outstanding job. And it's not an easy one for today's ball players and what they demand.
Here's Niger Morgan. Walked his first time up and then was stranded. There's CJ Cherry. I'm sure Virginia is quite proud.
All at his mercy. Get us all home and see our loved ones. Start a big win this game, final game of the road trip, and get ready for a fantastic homestand and pick up some ground.
There's that breaking ball by Boggs. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Niger Morgan with 1 out. After the little bit of a rut that he was in that first inning, Mitchell Boggs has settled in quite nicely.
Retired 7 in a row.
Slept foul.
Just like the way his confidence has returned. Last year he looked like he was a deer caught in the headlights. This season, a lot better.
2-2. Last year at Memphis, at 9 wins, very good ERA at 3.45.
He led the Pacific Coast League in ERA. You know, he's very capable.
The 2-2. Hit out of play and foul. Need to be pushed sometimes if you're a young player in spring training, and that's the case for Niger Morgan. As he was pushed, wasn't sure that he would make the team. Andrew McCutchen, who was part of that deal, trying to make the squad, and they gave the nod to Morgan. He had a little bit more experience, and so far that's paid off. Now, with his emergence at the top of the lineup and his speed, remember McLeod was their leadoff man a year ago, so they can drop him into the 3rd spot in their lineup. He's having a good at bat here. It was 0-2. He's fought off a couple of pitches. Now the count runs full. Niger Morgan from the Bay Area.
You gave a great story about him last night, about moving to Canada so he could play hockey at
Big
a higher
hockey
level.
fan.
You know.
One of the best levels you can play at.
Sure.
From watching the 1988 Olympics on TV, that turned him on to hockey. That's a base hit into right. So second time that he's aboard. We showed you that on-base percentage, a stat that most people now look at in modern baseball this day and age. On-base percentage in particular with a leadoff man.
Well, good at bat, fouled off numerous pitches, then finally got a ball he could pull through the right side of the infield. Only the 2nd hit and the 1st hit since Sanchez got a base hit in the 1st.
See if the Cardinals can turn a double play. Molina throwing behind, and back safely is Morgan. This guy is a good player, isn't he, Freddie Sanchez?
Really is. I mean, he's won a batting championship. We saw some dazzling plays from him defensively.
Mentioned how he has to get to a certain amount of plate appearances last night. 635 for an option to kick in for $8.5 million next year.
You know, you look at the double play combination of the Pirates, Sanchez and Jack Wilson, and they almost seem like they know each other so well. They do. They've been playing together since Little League. They both played in the same high school team. Every place they played has been together.
Off the glove of Green into left. Morgan will stay put at second. So the first two have reached, and Nate McLouth will be the hitter. I want to remind folks that on Monday, May 18th, at Lake Forest Country Club, John Mozeliak will be the guest speaker. And this will be for the American Parkinson Disease Association golf tournament, Nat Dubin Memorial Golf Classic. That's coming up on Monday, May 18th. Number to call 362-3299. And it all benefits Parkinson disease research, and John will be there to speak. Nate McLouth is 0 for 1. This is what he had last time. Remember, he had first and second, McLouth up. At that point, it was nobody out in the first. This time, just one out here in the third.
McLouth last year hit 26 home runs in his breakthrough season. Like 4 or 5 years, you just had McLouth, Morgan, all these different guys auditioning out there in center field. Now they're starting to make impressions.
Little bit low, 2 balls and no strikes. Looking ahead to Milwaukee tomorrow night, Cal Loge, Giovanni Gallardo, who's already 4-1 this season. Wainwright and Jeff Suppan on Saturday. Todd Wellemeyer, Manny Parra will go on Sunday. Milwaukee is red hot. They've won 18 of the last 22.
And they came from behind again in this afternoon's game and defeated Florida 5-3. They were trailing in that game as late as the 8th inning.
Well, hopefully the Cardinals will get healthy on this homestand. Ricky Ankiel is set to join the club once his DL 15 days is up. Tony La Russa is saying that he feels very good. Hit hard to Pujols. He'll go to second. Out there. Back to first. Double play. A big double play. 3-6-3. Fourth inning rolls in when we come back.
You're watching Fox Sports Midwest in HD.
Collect the first in a series of 5 historical All-Star Game lapel pins on Thursday, May 21st. The Cardinals take on the Cubs. 25,000 fans ages 16 and over receive the first pin, a tribute to the 1940 All-Star Game, courtesy of Bank of America. Good seats still remaining for that Cubs series upcoming. Yadier Molina leads it off for the Cardinals, and the first pitch is a strike. Now keep an eye on Jeff Karstens and his glove. Says he wants to keep it close to himself, not away from his body. Here's a ground ball that Wilson will handle with plenty of time. And the reason I bring this up, they say that if it's away from his body, his fastball gets flat and his arm can't catch up.
Right. Just, you know, so it's a little trigger mechanism to get the glove closer to the body, so when he extracts the ball from the glove, he stays on top and is in sync with his lower half. Out away from it, then he just has to play catch up, and you don't get on top of your pitches. You don't finish off your pitches, so it has no life, no movement.
Colby Rasmus, a long home run his first time up. And he smokes one out to right center. The catch made by McLouth. They had him shaded that way. The more that he's playing, it looks like the more comfortable he's getting in the batter's box. Rasmus.
No doubt about it. You know, this has already hit the ball twice extremely hard. And you would think a pitcher, Karsten, has a lot of off-speed pitches to keep him off balance, but so far he's hit the ball well. 1 a 2-run home run, and then this one is tracked down.
Brings in Tyler Green from North Carolina. Played at Georgia Tech. You don't see a lot of guys turn down a pro contract when they're drafted in the second round, but that's what Tyler Green did. He was drafted originally by the Atlanta Braves in the second round.
Georgia Tech is not an easy program to get into because you have to have a high SAT score.
He said he grew up cheering for the Braves. His favorite player was Cal Ripken because of his size. So he was at that time not really a prototypical looking shortstop. Lays down the bunt. It's a beauty. So a 2-out base hit, and Tyler Green 2 for 2, getting the start tonight at short. Tyler Green said he could play second base. Hasn't done it all that much. We saw that the other night. I asked him about the outfield, and he said, if that's going to keep me up here, I'm going to learn it.
And I always recommend everybody that's, kind of on the bubble, whether you're going to be a regular or an extra man, go find yourself a catcher's glove.
He said that one of the things that happened for him, he finally got a chance, he felt this spring, where he was more consistent. He got noticed and felt that he was on the radar for Tony La Russa to take a look at. Here's Joe Thurston with 2 outs and a runner at first. And Tyler Green was also a teammate of Mitchell Boggs, he was telling me, in summer ball. He said those guys had played a number of years together. On that same team was Matt Capps, the closer for the Pirates, and also Jeremy Hermida.
How many players now coming out of Georgia?
A very good team, he said. Obviously, you've got a bunch of major leaguers. Pop Warner was his manager in the minor leagues, really helped him out. Pop was with us for a year.
Pop still at Springfield doing a nice job there.
Green can run a little bit. There he goes. Swing and a miss, a throw to second, and a steal. He's in there. Good throw, though, by Diaz, but he just beat the tag. Well, how about this for Tyler Green, making the start tonight instead of Khalil? Couple of base hits, stolen base. Nice play in the short left.
He's 2 for 2 now in stolen bases. You saw him look in there to make sure that he was going to run into a line drive out, and sliding feet first. I always like to see that. Tag was high, but his cleats got to the bag first. Carson's making an awful lot of off-speed pitches, particularly left-handed batters, so a good opportunity to steal.
1-1 pitch. There's that off-speed pitch, a high fly ball in right, and that's put away by Moss. So they strand Tyler Green in scoring position. Cardinals have let 3 on, and a 2-0 lead midway through 4. The city of Bridges, city of Pittsburgh, and Fox Sports Midwest is on Facebook and Twitter. Find the links, go to foxsports.com. This has been extremely popular. foxsports.com/Midwest. Jim has been tweeting on this road trip. Hope you take advantage of that. Here's LaRoche. First pitch and a foul ball. Jim Jackson. Maybe they're tweeting up there. No balls and a strike. Adam LaRoche, Robinson Diaz, and Eric Hensky.
LaRoche, notoriously slow starter, and picked up the pace a little bit in April, but struggled in May. But he's just doing a lot of damage at home.
High fly ball. Did he get enough? Robinson back near the wall, and it's off the top of the wall, and it scoots away, and LaRoche is on his way to third. Took a funny carom out there, and LaRoche has himself a triple.
High towering fly ball. Shane Robinson is getting ready to play the carom, and it hit right at sort of the padding and dropped at the base of the scoreboard and kind of bounced away from Shane Robinson. This is a high towering. Watch where it's going to hit. Right there on that padding off that Pittsburgh sign, and then it hits in the corner and bounces away from Shane Robinson. So a rare triple for Adam LaRoche.
Here's Diaz and a chance for him. He'll line it into right center. Robinson over to cut it off with his good speed, and the Pirates get on the board. It's now 2-1. Lost in that RBI single, the speed of Shane Robinson. That easily could have gotten by a right fielder and gone to the wall.
Shane Robinson got over to it, cut it off, and you really like to see how the youngster got the ball back into the infield. Didn't look, just assumed that they may be trying to get into scoring position for Diaz, and he just fired a strike. He would have been out if he would have tried it.
Eric Hensky with a pitch in the dirt. Ross Hollendorf last night gave up just 2 hits in 6 innings. Al, he only faced 19 batters, 1 above the minimum, and then he struck out the side in that final inning.
But they had a scoring opportunity where it did eventually pay off, not with the pinch hitter, which was Hensky, but with the leadoff man, Nigel Morgan, who had a base hit and scored 2 more to give him that bigger lead.
John Russell then entrusted a shaky bullpen, at best shaky, with that lead.
His best 3 in that bullpen have been struggling.
Off the glove of Pujols, Schumacher over, and he can fire to third. He will, throws a strike, and they run into an out. Mistake that time by Diaz. He probably thought it got through, and it did not. Good job by Schumacher and a heads-up play.
Well, you're absolutely right. Schumacher could take his time. He saw that he had no play at first, and when the young catcher rounded second and tried to go to third, thinking the ball was in right field, he just made a strong throw. Good play by Thurston as he moves up. Instead of catching a short hop, he moves up and catches the ball in the air right at his shoe tops and applies the tag.
Here's Brandon Moss. Moss looks at a pitch in the dirt. He's 0 for 1. He's flied to left. But you look at the bullpen last night. You had Tyler Yates. He's given up 8 runs in 6 appearances prior to last night. You had Graybo, who had been scored upon in 6 consecutive games. And then Matt Capps with his back-to-back nights. So a little shaky there for John Russell to go with that bullpen, but they got the job done.
You've got to trust the guys that are going to be called upon, that they can't get better unless they are out there performing, and they all came through for him. You saw Gary Varsho talking to Robinson Diaz and talking about where he made the mistake. He had his head down, didn't look up and pick up his third base coach.
That's a fair ball inside the first baseline. Robinson over to get it. He can fire into second and holds Moss to a single. So first and third with 1 out. And the bats have come alive here in the 4th inning against Mitchell Boggs.
It's 4 consecutive base hits.
But you do have the bottom of this lineup here.
Right. Cardinals are lucky that they still have a 2-1 lead just inside the bag. And Hensky goes, this time he looks to make sure it gets down into the corner. He goes to third base. You have 1 out. You have a double play in order, but Jack Wilson's a pretty tough out in the 8th spot.
31-year-old from Westlake Village, California, 9th round selection by the Cardinals in '98. The time of the trade, when they traded him here to Pittsburgh, he was the 6th best prospect ranked by Baseball America. Jason Christensen would pitch a couple of years for the Cardinals, appeared in 51 games, and the Pirates wound up being a good deal. Everyday shortstop and a guy that's been very reliable.
I think the Cardinals knew that in the long run it was going to be a much better deal for Pittsburgh, but you're trying to win a pennant, you'll go for that extra man.
Could turn 2 out there on the first double play. Cardinals have turned 2 double plays tonight. 5-4-3 there. Bucks get on the board. It's 2-1. Well, don't miss Bud Light T-shirt night, Friday, May 15th. Brendan's going to help us out. 7:15, Milwaukee in town. And the first 25,000 fans ages 21 and over receive a Bud Light Cardinals T-shirt. For tickets, go to STLCardinals.com. So we'll see you tomorrow night for the Bud Light T-shirt night. Speaking of Brendan Ryan, he could come off the DL soon this weekend, but we're not sure if he is going to be part of the Cardinals roster. They may wait, make sure he's 100%, truly 100% before they bring him back. Mitchell Boggs with a shift on, lines it down the left field line.
It's his first major league hit. And it's an extra base hit, as he was 0 for 15 to start his major league career. And now he's got a batting average. They're trying to get the ball now for souvenir case.
Don't let Pinheiro get it.
He had that sleight of hand trick.
He's good. Had everybody fooled. Back in St. Louis, there was a ball that was somebody's first major league hit, and he had a practice ball, a batting practice ball in one hand, and threw the batting practice ball into the seats. You thought it might have been the actual ball that was coming in that was the first hit. It was not. Schumacher bunting here and pushes it foul. Skip was also saying the stress goes away when he looks at his 17-month-old boy. He gets home, he sees that little boy, and things just don't seem quite as important. What a good guy. Skip Schumacher, and trying to make this transition to second base. Runner at second, Mitchell Boggs. 0-1 pitch. Up the middle. That's a base hit for Schumacher. His second of the night. Third time he's been on base. And it's first and third. Nobody out for the Cardinals here in the fifth. Brings in the right fielder, Shane Robinson, looking for his first major league RBI. I knew this. Baseball fun facts. Jack Norworth, who wrote the lyrics to Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and never attended a game prior to writing the song. I know you knew that too.
I just didn't know his name.
I remember back in 01, we talked about it in San Francisco.
Yep. Yes, at Link.
Seventh inning one night. But yeah, that's a baseball fun fact. We'll have another one coming up a little later. Here's Robinson, first and third. And Shane is looking for his first major league RBI. It's Keith O'Brien in our truck coming up with those fun facts. Hope you enjoy those. Shane Robinson over 2. 4-6-3 double play is also grounded out to third. Big bats in Milwaukee in town tomorrow for Bud Light T-shirt night. Those bats have come alive. Let's see if the Cardinals can get their bats going here.
Dan, that's a great series for Cardinal giveaways. Got Lou Brock statue on Sunday, and there's something else on Saturday, I believe.
I'm going to look it up for you, Al. I think you're right. Maybe I can find it, huh?
And we'll see Jeff Suppan against Wainwright, and we'll see if Wainwright is correct in what he thinks he's detected a mechanical flaw in his delivery.
Hung a breaking ball out to left.
Should be the RBI.
There it is. Morgan makes the catch, tagging Mitchell Boggs from third to the plate, and the Cardinals have regained their 2-run lead.
And the first major league RBI for Shane Robinson.
Brings in Albert Pujols. Hal McRae was saying to me before the game, one of the things that Pujols will do, soft toss and tee drills to get him out of a jam. I said, what do you do specifically with a guy like Pujols? And he said he's different than anybody else because he knows his swing better than anybody else in baseball. He personally knows what he needs to do to get out of jams. He studies plenty of video, but we'll work with him on the tee and soft toss.
He does that every day. He has a ritual that he will do every day. And after he takes his ground balls, before he gets in the batting cage, you'll see he'll pull Hal McRae aside. They go down and underneath, and they'll do those drills with the soft tossing and also with the tee work. Very simple things that you know, when the best hitter in baseball goes to simple little training methods, that's a pretty good lesson to learn.
Works on top hand, bottom hand. You know, he'll swing with a tee. For young players out there, he'll address the tee and use just one arm. Tries to get on top of the ball.
Accentuate hitting down on it. That line drive stroke is just ever so slightly downward.
See, the last two pitches, and we saw in the previous at bat too, a couple of breaking balls that normally he just would deposit about 15 rows deep.
And he's just a little off, and you know, he's leading the National League in home runs, and RBIs, but he's just a perfectionist. Always wants to get better.
0-2 pitch. Outside.
The catcher set up inside.
I hear you giggle every time
well,
they miss with fastballs.
Well, I just think that, so often when you're asking for trouble by throwing an inside fastball behind the count to a guy like Albert, because one, you can't control it. You're going to leave middle half, and he's going to deposit it in the stands.
You could see the catcher a couple of times, Diaz, in the previous bat and this one here on the curveball, calling for it. Get it low, 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 low. Don't hang it to Pujols, because if you do, and he got away with the last one.
Yes, he did.
If you do, he'll kill it. Reaching for it that time. Grounds it to short, out at second, double play. And Pujols is over 3 tonight, 6-4-3 on the double play. RBI for Robinson. It's 3-1. Back in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. Glad you're with us tonight for Cardinals baseball. Our Aflac trivia question: name the last 5 players to have a hit streak of 30 games or more. I would assume one of those would be Albert Pujols. He had a 30-game hitting streak.
Correct.
Aflac.
Zimmerman, Lou, Utley, Tavares.
Forgot about Utley's 35 and 06.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike on Karstens.
He was walked a couple times, but he and Maniacta, his manager, agreed with the strategy Bruce Bochy employed.
Back to Boggs, and he'll run it over to Albert, who barehands it for the out. Albert is not a happy camper right now over at first base. He's over 3, and Pujols is 3 for his last 22. Nyjer Morgan will be the hitter. Brian Zimmerman also talked about the addition of Adam Dunn to the lineup being a huge factor for his streak. He said it's the first time in quite a while I feel like I got a little protection, seeing some pitches to hit.
And he also had a new appreciation for DiMaggio's 56-game streak.
That one may never be broken. And I brought this up last night.
Talking about the specialization.
Exactly.
It's not like you may have to face 3 or 4 different guys on a night, different pitchers.
I'd be curious to see in Zimmerman's 30 games how many different pitchers he saw compared to DiMaggio's 56. Right. Yeah, I bet there's not that much difference.
No, well, between the 56 and the 30.
Amount of different pitchers that you saw, right?
I wouldn't be surprised if
Zimmerman was more. Yeah. Because starters don't go deep for the most part.
Right.
You get 6 innings, you're thinking, all right, quality start. And back when DiMaggio played, of course, guys are going 7, 8, 9, finishing games off. It didn't matter. 3-2 on Morgan, who's seen a lot of pitches tonight. Done a nice job in that leadoff spot, on base for the 3rd time. Sunday, May 17th, the Cardinal Wives will join forces with Coleman St. Louis to raise funds and awareness. It's the annual Breast Cancer Awareness Day at Busch Stadium. To learn more about the St. Louis affiliate of the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure and Breast Cancer Awareness Day at Busch Stadium, visit ColemanSt.Louis.org. So Morgan is aboard. A walk and 2 hits, and here's Freddie Sanchez. So the top of this lineup, these two with Morgan and Sanchez, they've been on base 5 times, yet to be retired. Pirates said goodbye to 3 Rivers and hello to PNC Park back in 2001. Unfortunately for their fans, the stadium's been great. The teams have not.
Teams have not. You've got some loyal supporters here, but just not that many. Best promotion is winning baseball, and that is something they haven't had a winning team for 16 consecutive seasons. But they have played some very fine baseball in this series. Outplayed the Cardinals.
1 ball, 1 strike on Sanchez. 2 singles for Freddie tonight. He represents the tying run. That's outside. This is a retro ballpark, but you see the limestone around the ballpark, which is different than a lot of the newer retro parks. And the statues are absolutely great. Honus Wagner, Roberto Clemente, which was moved from Three Rivers, and the biggest out there, guy you played against, Willie Stargell.
Pops.
Two balls and a strike on Sanchez. Runner goes. Line drive, and a potential double play is off the glove of Green. He catches that. That's a double play.
You're always worried about running into a double play, and they start the runner, the line drive, and it hits the glove. Just can't hold on to it up in their webbing.
That's one he wants back.
It does create a first and second situation. Otherwise, it would have been a first and third if it gets by. But it's a play that you almost think has to be made.
Now it's Nate McLouth. With one out, McLouth tonight again with runners at first and second. He's had this twice tonight. 0 for 2, and he is stranded 4. First pitch to him is a breaking ball low and away.
And into a double play his last time, 3-6-3. And Boggs is looking for the same. Activity starting in the Cardinals bullpen.
Talk about little plays that aren't made behind, and now a block on Mitchell Boggs, and runners advance in the scoring position, and it takes away the potential double play to get out of the inning. That's big.
You see him moving, trying to step off to decoy it, but he did move with standing on the rubber.
And Dave Duncan now out just to calm him down, and again that lefty is getting loose in the pen. Trevor Miller.
And part of that is to let Trevor have time to get ready. And as you said, very good description, just calm him down after a box. Sometimes that could be the most unnerving thing a pitcher can do.
There's Trevor Miller getting loose. We saw him in game 1. By the way, we mentioned Ankiel is feeling much better. Will join us on the homestand. Carpenter hopefully will have good news tomorrow. And the other guy to tell you about, Ryan Ludwig, hopefully back after 15 days. And I saw him in the clubhouse. We spoke briefly. He said, I feel great, Dan. It's much better 24 hours later from what I saw last night, and then obviously the day before.
He actually was out during batting practice, you know, on the field with his glove and participating a little bit, you know, being smart and being cautious. But it looks like 15 days will be all that disablement, not 3 or 4 weeks.
2-0 pitch. Ooh, 2-1. What a difference a year makes, too. If you're Ludwig this time last year, you might stay in the game. Not to say that he would, but he might, just because you're trying to make your case to be an everyday player, show what you can do. Then you hit 37 home runs, Silver Slugger, you're an all-star. Now,
get treated a little different.
Little flexibility with that hamstring. But it was the right move to take himself out.
Absolutely.
2-1 pitch.
And you might look at it and say, well, 2 or 3 days later, you're feeling fine. You know, you didn't need to go on the disabled list, and you can always backdate one. But you're with an extra pitcher, you're already playing with a short bench. Cardinals couldn't afford to play shorthanded.
And that's outside, so the bases are loaded. Now Tony LaRoche has been getting that lefty ready. You've got LaRoche here who hits from the left side, then Diaz from the right side. But we assume he's getting ready for Hinsky and Moss. That's the assumption. Or maybe not.
Maybe not. He's going to make the pitching change right now, second visit.
So that's it for Mitchell Boggs. Could not get through 5 in his last start. 83 pitches here tonight. And Tony La Russa wasting no time going to the lefty. So Trevor Miller, the lefty specialist, coming in. This will be our Chevrolet call to the bullpen. Trevor Miller in to face Adam LaRoche. The Chevy call to the pen, bases loaded, and a 3-1 Cardinals lead when we come back. Bud Light, what's on tap? The difference is drinkability. Back home tomorrow night, and we're on the air at 6:30 with Cardinals Live. What's on tap? Cardinals and Brewers tomorrow at 6:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. So here's Trevor Miller. We saw him in game 1 of this series, and Tony La Russa wasting no time. So Mitchell Boggs on 8 days rest. Only 83 pitches, but it can only get 4 1/3, just like in his previous start against the Bucks. Numbers on Trevor Miller, 14th appearance. And the ERA is steadily coming down.
And bullpen has been very good at not allowing inherited runners to score. So you're gambling right now. Hopefully you can get a double play ball and keep that 3-1 lead.
So you get the matchup here, LaRoche and Miller, the lefty-lefty matchup. LaRoche tonight has struck out back in the first with 2 runners on and tripled off the wall and scored in the 4th, their lone run. 1-0 pitch. Popped up. Thurston over in foul territory to make the catch, and some boos for Adam LaRoche, who was 1 for 30 prior to this series.
He's hit well at home, but he's not hit well against lefties, as now Trevor is only allowed 2 hits in 26 at-bats against left-handed pitching. And there's a big second out. Going to have to get Robinson Diaz.
Boy, is that big there. Diaz 1 for 2. RBI single back in the 4th. Miller steps off.
Last 2 games, Diaz coming in. I was 6 for 13. And counting this one in this series.
And that's a foul ball. The inning started. Karstens grounding back to Boggs. Niger Morgan would single on a 3-2 pitch. Freddie Sanchez looked to line into an inning-ending double play off the glove of Green. Inning stayed alive. Then we saw the balk and the walk to McLouth, and I'm sure that played a part into what Tony La Russa was seeing here, making sure his young starter didn't get unnerved here in this inning. Cardinals need a win.
Need a win, and you can't really look at who gets the win as long as it falls under the Cardinal side. Diaz, facing the left-hander, is just 0 for 3 this year.
Cardinals this year 3-0, and Mitchell Boggs makes a start, even though he has not gone deep into games. Righties have really given Trevor Miller some fits this year. They're hitting .533 against him.
Not good, not good, but
the lefties .083.
Tony, go to that bullpen and just kind of see what happens if he retires Diaz. And a good pitch there, had him reaching for it. We got 2 left-handers, batters behind Diaz. And does Trevor start next inning if he gets this right-handed batter out now?
I would think so.
Right-handed,
don't you think?
I would think so.
Save Denny's Reyes if you need him a little later in the game. But Trevor Miller against these lefties has been great. 2 for 24 they are, but 8 for 15 the righties. He was so good at stranding runners a year ago.
Interesting. It looks like Mott is getting up and throwing in the Cardinal bullpen.
He's had 1 situation this year with the bases loaded as Miller, and he's given up a base hit. It is interesting, as we talked about last night, Mott was more of the 8th inning guy.
That's what we were thinking.
2-2 pitch. It tells you, though, what Tony thinks about this game.
Very much so. That he wants at all costs to pull out this victory.
Using Miller here, not extending Boggs. And then you've got one of your setup men out there, getting loose right now. Big pitch in the game right here. 3-2 with the bases loaded and 2 outs here in the 5th. Here it comes to Diaz. A fly ball. This should do it. Trevor Miller will get out of the jam. Squeezed by Colby Rasmus. Miller gets the final 2 and strands the bases loaded. Duncan leads it off when we come back. Well, Pittsburgh has out-hit the Cardinals 9-7, but the Cardinals lead it by the score of 3-1. Let's go pitch by pitch, presented by Chevrolet. Key at bat here tonight.
A couple different breaking balls out there. Fastball inside. Off-speed pitch, get him reaching. That slider coming back there, and then finally pops him up. So very clutch pitching by Trevor Miller. And with Hinsky and Moss due up next inning, pair of left-handers, you'd think he's going to start the inning.
Duncan is 0 for 2. He's lined out and also struck out. Chris Duncan is now hitting better against left-handed pitching this year than he is against right-handed.
Seen so many left-handers that, you know, he's fearless there. He doesn't give way, and probably bearing down a little bit more on him.
I know that surprises a lot of folks. He's hitting .286 against the lefties, .280 against right-handed pitching. As you mentioned, though, the RBIs is what really stands out. 23 on the year. Reaches for this pitch and grounds to second. Freddie Sanchez is there for the out. And we begin the 6th inning. This date in baseball history. Rogers Hornsby hits his first career home run. He would finish his career at .301. Our Schnooks of this date in baseball history. Also, it involves the secret weapon. 21 years ago, you might remember at Busch Stadium against the Braves. Jose Oquendo making history. That 19-inning game. He threw 65 pitches. And then it was a tie-breaking double by Ken Griffey Sr. to send everybody home eventually. And then the next day, he started in the outfield.
Well, he went 3+ innings, right?
Right.
3 scoreless innings before they got the final run. He was the losing pitcher.
Remember who got the win?
Rick Mailer
That's
got
right.
the win, and he said it was the most pressure he ever felt on the mound.
I was at that game.
I was doing the game.
I was a fan. I had snuck down, got into the front row. There was nobody left.
Oh, sneaker.
I was.
Hey, they had a streaker in New York yesterday.
Which one, Yankee or Citi Field?
Citi Field. And he...
What happened to him?
Well, they captured him, and he pleaded not guilty.
Not guilty.
Right. Apparently, he had some kind of little animal covering certain strategic spots of his body, but
leave it to you, the Mad Hungarian, to find those great tidbits to add in the streaker in New York.
Yeah. Not guilty. It was something like a significant fine and almost a year, if not more, in jail. Maximum penalty.
I don't know how you could
be very
not
popular
guilty.
in jail.
Yes, he would. Here is Colby Rasmus. And that pitch is taken inside. Rasmus with a 2-run homer back in the 2nd inning. And he's also lined out. Well, Pittsburgh's trying to do anything to find pitching. Their big trade with the Yankees and signing players from India a year ago that are pitching in their minor league system from a reality show. We'll tell you about that when we come back. Thanks to the Allegheny. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. And by McDonald's. Order a Big Mac extra value meal at McDonald's and get huge discounts on great seats. And by Dodge. It's turned out to be a gorgeous night here in Pittsburgh. Glad you're with us. Hinsky trying to bunt his way on. Beautifully done. And that's his first base hit against a lefty this season and his 2nd hit tonight. Looked like the shift was on. No play for Thurston.
Just a perfect bunt, and the last thing that the Cardinal defense is expecting. But a heads-up play. Denver's been very tough on the lefties. and no place. Just put it in your pocket.
And it brings in Brandon Moss. The Cardinals have had a right-hander getting loose in the pen. Looks now that it might be Blaine Boyer. That's a ripped foul. Miller got out of the jam last inning with the bases loaded, only one out. And he was able to get LaRoche to pop out in foul territory at third. And then Diaz would fly to center. Hinsky, the leadoff hit, and this is Moss, who's 1 for 2. We were talking about those pitchers from India that they signed from a reality show. They threw a baseball harder than anybody, and the Pirates, desperate for prospects and pitching, said, we'll take a flyer on these guys.
Former Major League pitcher and pitching coach Tom House kind of worked for these two kids. One's a lefty, one's a righty. Both of them were cricket players, but had no knowledge or anything experience of throwing a ball overhand.
Now that's taking a chance. They've had some curious.
I hope they didn't sign him to a real big contract.
I don't think so. They've had some curious moves the last couple of years, and certainly, last 5-10 years. Think about the Matt Morris deal that comes to mind. Made no sense at the time.
I think they wanted a veteran starter to help teach the young guys, but unfortunately Matt was at the end of his career where he really wasn't going to be able to lead by example.
And he was also a guy that was going to tell you he's not the big rah-rah type to pull a young guy aside too.
Sure.
It's not just his, it's just not his personality.
Right, and it was also a scenario where if you can't teach by example, it's tough.
Good pitch.
He was making an awful lot of money for a team that was trying to save money.
Strikeout of Moss, and this will be it. Tony La Russa will go to his bullpen. Cal McClellan was getting loose. You see Gallardo and Loge tomorrow. Game 1 of that series with Milwaukee at Busch Stadium, and we'll be on the air at 6:30 tomorrow night. So a second move by Tony La Russa. A Chevrolet call to the bullpen. A righty coming in when we come back. Just joining us, let's get you caught up in our Infinity game recap here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Long home run into the river off the bat of Colby Rasmus, made it 2-0 St. Louis. That got things going, and that's basically all you need to know, I guess, in our Infinity game recap as Cal McClellan takes over for the Cardinals. But we'll get you caught up here with a couple of double plays that the Cardinals were able to turn in key spots. Also added another run, and they lead it 3-1. Here's the numbers on Kyle, and he'll face Jack Wilson. Wilson with a runner at first and 1 out.
And holding the ball, trying to figure out whether Jack's going to show bunt again or they want to switch off and do something else.
Kyle's one of those guys that has the ability to get lefties and righties out. They're both hitting about the same, just above 200.
One of his 2 wins was at the expense of the Pirates.
Wilson off the end of the bat and going out to get it. Schumacher for the second out. Kyle has had a situation where it was a rough spring, but because he had a year under his belt, was able to get things settled, and then started out this year from day one has pitched very well. Enough, so much to where he was moved up into the 8th inning role, and then key spots like now.
Well, part of the funny thing about his rough spring was, and you mentioned it, last year he had the ability to get a lot of left-handers out on a consistent basis. Makes it very valuable for a manager. But then he changed his positioning on the rubber. He always threw from the third base side of the rubber, but this spring he started throwing from the right side, thinking it would improve his chance of retiring left-handed batters. He just had a horrible spring, and then once he moved back to the third base side of the rubber, he started getting people out again.
Well, this is Delwin Young, and he's a switch hitter. He'll be the pinch hitter now for Karstens, and the first pitch was a breaking ball and a strike, so those lefties only hitting .206 against him. We've seen Young play right field. He's also played second base. That's the high strike this time, 0-2. Now that you got him 0-2, a chance to put him away.
Breaking ball, you can see Molina accentuating down.
Little check swing, and he got him. Breaking balls all around, and Delwin Young never even swung the bat. Strikeout from McClellan, And we played 6. Cardinals on top. Well, this is the legendary performance brought to you by Cabot Woodstain. And on this date in baseball, 1981, Cardinals scores 6 runs in the final 2 innings to overcome a 6-1 deficit. That was legendary, and it was back in 1981. Cardinals with a lead of 3-1. And a new pitcher is in for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Evan Meek.
Meek's gotten off to a good start. He's 6 foot, 220. He was selected off of Tampa Bay's Durham roster in the Rule 5 draft back in 07. And you can see what he's done. Opponents are only batting 143 against him. He's allowed just 5 hits in his first 7 outings.
So Karstens, their starter, gives them 6 innings. And here's Green. 3 runs allowed and 7 hits. Evan Meek to pitch the top of the 7th for Pittsburgh.
Good day so far for Tyler Green.
We saw Meek in St. Louis, and Green tonight is a couple of base hits, a bunt hit, stolen base, 2 for 2.
And Meek threw a couple scoreless innings in St. Louis last Thursday.
Joe Kerrigan is the new pitching coach with the Pirates, and he said that a pitching coach, obviously, as we've seen with the Cardinals, can make a huge difference. But he was saying how big of a job and the responsibility of the catcher is. The catcher's, his opinion, maybe the most important position on the field. He's the field manager, so to speak, and he said one of the things that he does look at is a team ERA with that pitcher dealing with that particular catcher. You know, how that catcher deals with a rotation and a bullpen.
Well, you know, Dave Duncan and Tony La Russa put an awful lot of responsibility on their catchers. And with Dave being the catcher, that's understandable. They really miss Doman, who is their best hitter. He's on the disabled list, but the young catchers have done a nice job in his absence.
And I asked Tyler Green today the biggest difference from the minor leagues to the big leagues, and it kind of leads into what we're talking about here with Dave Duncan. He said just all the information that we have at this level, the amount of time and preparation that goes into every game, I had no idea about. Near the line and right, and the catch is made. He said you can walk into the clubhouse, and we were visiting just outside the clubhouse. He said, you know, Dan, I can walk in right now, watch the individual starter with every at bat on different guys, you know, watch their bullpen. I can get the scouting reports in the books. I can see where these hitters are going to hit from Dave Duncan's book, how we're going to pitch them. He said you just don't get that specialization in the minor leagues.
Most definitely. And then, you know, you put that book comes into play when it tells a story, when you've been able to track it for year after year.
Here's Joe Thurston. Thurston is 0 for 2. He's popped out to the catcher. Also fly to right. He is stranded 2 tonight.
Minor league's a little different. You know, you kind of go around the table and say, hey, anybody know anything about this pitcher?
Isn't that the truth?
Well, I remember playing for Warren Spahn in Tulsa and going over one of the pitchers. Somebody said, well, he's got a good fastball. Somebody said, good curveball, good slider, good change. Spahn goes, wait a minute. If he had all that stuff working for him, he'd still be in the big leagues. So he goes, I want to know what he can't do. And one of our pitchers said he can't run.
That was it.
That was it. Bonnie got mad, called off the meeting.
And that was the extent of
that was the extent of your sky report.
Well, you walk into a Cardinal clubhouse a couple hours before game time, and you'll see Pujols and Mike Aldrete, Oquendo, Hal McRae, Chad Blair. They're all sitting there watching the video screens and the breakdown of video that they have. 1-2 pitch.
A couple years ago, I had the opportunity to see Joe Schultz, see his entire scouting report on the entire National League. It was on a little 3x5 notebook, and everything was, you know, up and away, or up and in, down and away. First ball, fastball hitter. I mean, no matter what it was the cliche. And I showed Dave Duncan, and he just kind of laughed. And, you know, as he's got binders, you know, with hundreds of pages in it for each team, let alone this little index notebook had the entire National League on it.
2-2 on Thurston with 1 out and nobody on. Chased a ball. Thurston in a little bit of a tailspin here, and he and Barden got off to those great starts in the first month of this season, but they've cooled off just a bit. And I asked Tony about Troy Gloss, and said bits and pieces. You know, we hear that he's getting a little bit better, but no time soon is he returning. That was disappointing. You heard about his shoulder injury, and surgery took place late, essentially, in the offseason as Thurston strikes out.
It was closer to spring training, as it was in late January, and had the surgery. And you know, then you talk to Troy Gloss in spring training. He was ahead of schedule. He was excited, thought he was going to get into a game down in Florida. And Kyle McClellan will hit for himself here, as nobody's been warming up. So it was by design that he will pitch the bottom of this inning at the least.
Kyle was a very good athlete in high school. Of course, from St. Louis, he was a quarterback in the football team, and he says pretty good hitter in high school.
Pitcher is always the best hitter.
Spoken like a true pitcher. Quickly 2 strikes.
And most time, star pitcher, when he didn't on the mound, he was playing another position.
I want to see Mott hit, former catcher.
Well, we know why he's pitching now, though.
I don't want to see a curveball thrown to him, but I want to see him hit. McClellan strikes out, and it's time to stretch here at PNC Park. The top of the lineup coming up for the Pirates. 3-1 Cards. '61, our baseball fun facts. Roger Maris hit a then record 61 home runs, and he was not intentionally walked the entire season. 1961, our baseball fun facts, and Roger Maris as Niger Morgan leads it off. Did you know Roger at all?
No, I did not. I met him, but really didn't know him.
Of course, he was one of Mike Shannon's best friends.
Right.
That's it out of play off the bat of Niger Morgan, who is 1 for 3 against Kyle McClellan, and maybe playing into this for Tony La Russa, the lack of success in the first 3 hitters against McClellan. Morgan is 1 for 3, Sanchez 0 for 6, and Nate McLouth is 0 for 3.
And Dennis Reyes is warming up behind Kyle McClellan in the Cardinal pen.
Talk to Kyle, one of his biggest influences growing up, his brother.
Brother was his pitching coach.
Right.
Of course, his dad still runs a academy or workout facility in North County.
3-1 the count, and that's nowhere close. Tying run now comes to the plate. Lead off walk.
Not good.
Brings in Sanchez. He's 3 for 3 with 3 singles. The Cardinals have turned 2 double plays tonight. McLouth on deck. Sanchez, first pitch to him. Misses outside.
We talk about Sanchez good at hitting behind the runner. Really don't want to have straight steals with Molina's throwing arm.
Got him to reach. Good pitch. Popped up. Does he have a play? Just out of room. Well, here we are about a fifth of the way through the regular season, and one of the biggest surprises, Al, I think you'd have to say, the Blue Jays. A.J. Burnett opted out of his deal. They've been dealing with injuries in the rotation, Dustin McGowan and Sean Markham, but yet here they are leading the American League East.
And don't have B.J. Ryan, the closer.
Right.
But
most folks.
Holiday. I saw Scott Rowland the other day, had 3 hits, I think 3 RBIs, but that's a very, very tough division.
Keep it up for 6 months.
Yes.
You know, and that's why it's only 20% through. And the Yankees, of course, spent all that money and picked up very good pitching. Double play ball. McClellan. Schumacher, wide throw, and still on the bag. Pujols in a double play. 1-4-3. No argument from John Russell. That may change momentarily. So 1-4-3 on the double play, and that's the third the Cardinals have turned. The second that started, or rather, involving Schumacher here.
I see right there, and it's the wide throw. It sails on him, but Albert stretches out, and looks like he stays on the bag long enough to complete it.
Close. Very close.
Can't really see when he clutches the ball, but Alfonso Marquez is our umpire at first base.
And so Denys Reyes will be called upon here as Pujols had to stretch. Reyes coming in for the Cardinals. 3-1 Cardinals. By the way, you're wondering about Scott Rowland. He's hitting .325 for the Toronto Blue Jays. You see Pujols stretching, and a reason why is the wide throw, but take a look at the turn here of Schumacher. He was taken out pretty good.
He pushes off the bag, and then he's got the runner bearing down on him. Tries to drop down, but when you do that, the ball will sail on you. And you know, I think Albert's still feeling the effects of that ball that got him in the small of the bat. And as you said, he's been stretching a little bit. You're expecting a little better throw from your second baseman.
Here's Denys Reyes, 18th appearance, and he's been very good, just like Miller, with those lefties.
That's right. Lefties are 3 for 21, a 143 average against him. And he leads the staff with now his 18th appearance.
And quickly it's 0-2. Tony La Russa, and we see him make a lot of changes, but he's been doing this since the fourth inning. It's been Boggs, Miller, McClellan, now Reyes. 1-2. He does not want to be swept here tonight.
Well, you had 2 outs, nobody on base, so could have left McClellan in there, but with McLeod and LaRoche, a pair of left-handers coming up, he went with his last southpaw, and McLeod gets his first hit of the night.
And it brings in LaRoche. LaRoche came up with a chance to do some damage back in the 5th with the bases loaded, 1 out, and popped out to Thurston. He's also tripled and scored tonight and struck out his first time up. Not a bad pitch, just a good job by McLeod to pick up the base hit. Reyes trying to send us to the 8th. And a check on McLeod. There's that slider. And you would figure out it'd be slider after slider here.
Yes. And Roach really doesn't look like he wants a lot of that breaking ball coming from a left-hander. Hits from an open stance, and he'll square up a little bit as pitch is being made, but just doesn't reach it.
LaRoche 0 for 2 against Denys Reyes in his career, so not much of a history between these two.
Roach just kind of his body language, lethargic, just doesn't. You can see how he could be a target for Pirate fans as he doesn't play with any emotion.
Up and in. 2-1. Sometimes some players, it can be mistaken.
Sure.
And but as you said, presented outwardly like that, misconstrued by the fans, but that's the way it goes when you're struggling too.
When you're struggling, and you know, sometimes a fan just wants you to get upset a little bit.
Runner goes, and it's tapped foul. That would have been easily stolen there by McLeod. They had a very good jump.
And McLeod really has a history of high percentage of steals, and he just caught Denys Reyes just kind of with a walking lead.
2-2 the count. Outfield is straight away. LaRoche represents the tying run at the plate. Talking with Denny's the other day, he said his family is safe now. Remember, down in Mexico, some concern with the flu. And he said, no more concerns. Everybody is safe and healthy.
That's good. I like him. He's an interesting character. Out of Sinaloa, Mexico. Sinaloa is the state that he resides from.
He said it's beautiful there. I have not been. You, a world traveler, probably have been.
Oh, I have. I played 2 years in the Mexican League in a little town called Guasave, Sinaloa. Muy poco, muy triste. Very small, very sad little town, but had some wealthy farmers there that owned the ball club.
Very sad.
Well, I mean, it was so small that had 2 hotels, and the Americans were residing in one hotel. It cost $1.40 a night.
$1.40.
$1.40. At the end of the month, you owed more money in soda pop. You just had a chalkboard. You just put down a notch when you took a soda out of the
But
bin.
they trusted you.
Oh, absolutely.
2-2 the count. And he got him. LaRoche strikes out, ends the 7th. Top of the lineup, due up for St. Louis. It's 3-1. Steel Town success the last 15 seasons, winning seasons. 11 for the Steelers, couple of championships, 11 winning seasons for the Penguins, 2 championships, but a struggle here in Pittsburgh at PNC Park over the years and at Three Rivers.
Pirates have had 16 consecutive losing seasons. Trying to turn that around.
And here's Skip Schumacher. Well, John Russell is the new manager trying to figure it out. And Skip hits it to short. Wilson up with it. Fires to first, but not in time. Skip has made a habit of that, hasn't he? Diving into first in those close plays.
Nice play by Jack Wilson, but couldn't get it over there quick enough to outgun the speed of Schumacher. There is a sliding stab to grab it and then scramble your feet, and a close play at first.
3-hit night now for Skip, and it brings in Shane Robinson. Picked up his first major league RBI in the 5th. Grounded into a 4-6-3 double play and also grounded out to third. Well, Tony can be creative here with this 1-2 punch if he likes. A little bloop into right, that'll get down. Schumacher on his way to second. And Shane Robinson with his first base hit of the night. The first 2 have reached, and let's see if Albert breaks out here and puts this game out of reach. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. First 2 have reached. It's first and second. Pujols has grounded into a 6-4-3 double play. He has fly to center and also grounded out to third.
Meek in his second inning of work finds himself in a little bit of trouble here.
Oh, does he? First pitch to Albert. Breaking ball and a strike. A lot of curveballs to Pujols last couple of nights.
A lot of off-speed pitches, trying to get him to reach and off balance. And when he has his weight back and gets a fastball, you don't get it by him.
First and second, nobody out. Pujols. Foul tip, strike 2.
You know, they feel that Albert is not locked in the way they have gone after him in
Absolutely.
the series.
Yeah, good point. With as well as he's hit at this ballpark and against the Pirates, they pitched to him. 0-2. Ball scoots away. Runners will advance to second and third. It's a tough play for the runner at first because he has to make sure that the runner at second commits.
You're exactly right. And you've got to stay in the game. You've got to be able to, with your peripheral vision, to look and see if your lead runner goes. So it's off there. John Russell was just talking about how proud he is of his young catchers and their ability to block balls in the dirt. But he gets by here now. Here's another indication where they're going after Albert, and I'm sure they're going to be very cautious.
Infield is drawn in. The 1-2 pitch to Pujols. Grounder up the middle, base hit. Schumacher will score. Robinson will score, and Pujols delivers on a 1-2 pitch. And it extends the lead to 5-1. Boy, he needed that hit.
He got 2 RBIs, 37 now. And the ball is up, and you see how he accentuates hitting down on it. And it pays off as they've got the infield in, and it gets through for 2 more RBIs.
I don't know if that gets through, if that wild pitch or that.
No. Because it was hit so slowly. He didn't hit it very well, but with the infield drawn in, it does go through.
He needed that. So 3 consecutive hits to start the inning. And John Russell now goes back to his bullpen with Duncan coming in. And Pujols all smiles now as he picks the Cardinals up with 2 more. It's 5-1. Well, you see opponents only hitting 176 against Sean Burnett, and lefties under that at 125, just 3 for 24. He's allowed just 3 hits and 16 at bats, 7 appearances here at his home ballpark, and he'll try to make this a 5-1 lead stick for the Cardinals and not any more damage done, as Brian Barden will be the pinch hitter. He'll pinch hit for Duncan. What's a move that you can keep Barden in the game and move Schumacher to left?
Makes sense. And one of the things, I think Brian Barden is a low ball hitter, and we'll see if he gets something from Burnett that's down. He's been kind of the odd man out, that after winning the Rookie of the Month award for April, he's had very few plate appearances.
Hit 385, 3 home runs, a double, 7 RBIs, 8 runs scored in April. Very good on base percentage for the 28-year-old. Finally healthy here in 2009.
They don't expect him to be able to pull the ball. As Morgan is well off the left field line, and they're shading in center, for him to hit the ball to right. There's going to be a changeup.
Barden hitting 291 off the bench. Runner goes, throw to second, and safe. Stolen base for Pujols.
It's his 6th steal in 7 attempts.
I mean, how good is that to do that against a lefty? And that's just being a student of the game and studying that pitcher and getting a good read.
Well, it's also a lefty not paying attention to it. Go back to Joe Ferguson, the big catcher, and Joe was a big man, probably about 250, playing in the 70s, and he felt like he could play catch and outfield, but he felt like you could steal 10 bases a year just by picking your spots when a catcher's not paying attention or a pitcher's not paying attention to you.
Barden strikes out, brings in Molina. Well, Molina has always been a very good RBI man, and Hal McRae saying the success this year is that he hasn't changed. Consistent with his stance. And Tony was saying that he always hit in the minors, and also his relationship with that man at the plate. Look at the respect that you give here to Molina to bring up the lefty-lefty matchup. But lowest he hit in the minor leagues was 260 for Yadier Molina. And a smart move here by Russell, the lefty-lefty matchup, because Colby only has 2 hits against left-handed pitching this year. That's it.
And you set up the potential for the double play to end the inning.
John Russell, 10 years managing in the minor leagues, Florida State League, the Pacific Coast League. Primarily in the major leagues, he was a catcher. Also played a little outfield. And in his final year in the big leagues, they asked him to play shortstop to learn the position when he was with the Texas Rangers. And John Russell at the time said, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm not going to be a shortstop."
Right.
And the coach said, "Because you're going to manage someday." And he said, "I want you to know all the positions out in the field."
All right, that was probably very sound advice. And
Yeah.
he's been in the big leagues, as a coach too. Right here in Pirates before he went to Philadelphia.
Right.
Before he came back to manage the Buccos. Kobe had the big blast back there in the second inning. His 2-run home run.
Could be the difference in this game. 5-1 Cardinals. A good block by Diaz. Well, with Colby, getting a chance to play more, maybe you'll see a little bit more against left-handed pitching. The Cardinals, as a team overall against lefties, only hitting .232. And the one guy that has really stung lefties is Ludwig, and he's not in the lineup. Even when he's in, the Cardinals still doesn't jump up that dramatically because it's only one player. That overall team average against the left-handers that they've seen.
In the minor leagues, you just don't see that many left-handed pitchers, so a lot of these left-handed batters just don't have the experience.
1 ball, 1 strike. Rasmus drives it into right field. Diving catch by Moss. And a double play as Pujols was on his way to the plate. And Moss, an inning-ending double play with that diving catch to end the top of the 8th. Outstanding play to take the hit and RBI away. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Smooth Bush Beer and Easy Drink in Bush Light. And by Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. Denny's Reyes still in the ball game. We're in Pittsburgh tonight. Bottom of the 8th rolls in, and it's 5-1. Ever had a Primanti Brothers sandwich, Al?
No, I have not.
You're missing out all your years in coming to Pittsburgh.
Can I ask again what kind of sandwich?
The Primanti Brothers. Famous place here in Pittsburgh.
I guess I
the
missed
Italian bread, the fries in the middle. Beautiful looking sandwich. But you and I, of course, are pictures of health, so we're staying away from that.
Yeah, I'm glad I missed the chili.
The Skyline chili in Cincy.
Yeah.
You have to take it in, Al.
No,
I mean,
no, I have respect for my body.
The Manny Sanguian barbecue.
Now that's okay.
You can handle that. Here's a fly ball to center, going back Colby Rasmus. And that's the first out here in the 8th.
Reyes stays in this ball game because the next 2 batters are left-handed. And it looks like Chris Perez is throwing in the Cardinal bullpen in case the inning goes longer.
Seems like the last time that they truly won here in Pittsburgh was the We Are Family team. Of course, they had the good teams with Jim Leland in the early 90s, and since then they haven't won. Sister Sledge, We Are Family.
We Are Family. I saw a picture of the 1972 team, and it looked like, and they all had traveling blazers with maroon pants, like a navy blue blazer with maroon pants. Very chic.
They're chic and sharp, huh?
Absolutely. Went along with their yellow banana, uniforms.
That's pulled foul. Saw Kent Colby before the game.
Yes.
Now, what is Kent doing now? Is he doing some radio work, TV work?
We have seen him in the past do a little bit of broadcasting, but he said popped in to get a cookie before he did some PR work, he said.
0-2 the count. This is Adam LaRoche. And a swing and a miss. So good work here by Denny's Reyes. Quickly 2 down. And Moss will be the hitter. Moss and May McLeod with 2 diving plays. The outfield to save a couple of runs here tonight. It could be much worse than just 5-1.
The Cardinals have 10 hits in this game, scoring 5 runs.
Moss, a high fly ball out to deep right field. Robinson back, and it's off the wall. He plays it perfectly and quickly will get it back in, and they hold Moss to a double. So 2-out double for Brandon Moss, and Jack Wilson will be the hitter.
Cardinals in the first 2 games only had 11 hits and scored 3 runs, but second one this hit about that same area, and this took a totally different carom off the wall.
Schumacher and right.
Schumacher out there. As Robinson has gone to left field, and Tony will make a pitching change with Jack Wilson. He'll bring in Chris Perez.
So the hard-throwing right-hander Perez will come in. He'll be the 5th pitcher used by the Cardinals tonight in Tony La Russa. It's 5-1. Chris Perez into the ball game, 13th appearance, 2.61 ERA, and the opponent's average well below that 200 mark. So since he's been recalled, and it was just a short time down in the minor leagues, he's pitched well.
Pitched well. He's got a little more consistency, not only with his slider but also with his fastball. And this guy's rounding into shape, you know, pitching later in the ball games, he and Mott, and doing a much better job.
They asked him to lose weight. He certainly has done that. He has really slimmed down, and I know he feels his conditioning is much better. Came into camp in very good shape, and remember at the beginning of spring training, all the talk was about he and Mott being the closers, and kind of lying in the weeds there was Ryan Franklin, and now he's taken over that closer spot. Fastball hit out to center. Off the bat of Wilson, and Rasmus is there. That sends us to the 9th. The Cardinals lead it 5-1.
Back at PNC Park, Cardinals lead the Pirates 5-1 as we head to the 9th. Don't forget, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Jack Clark look at how the Cardinals got out of harm's way several times tonight. A big night for the rookies. We'll break that down. Plus, we'll have post-game reaction from Tony La Russa and the Cardinal clubhouse as well. It's all coming up. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al, guys.
Okay, Jim, 5-1. Cardinals with the lead. And Tyler Green will dig in. 7, 8, and 9 for the Cardinals. Redbirds with 2 in the 2nd on a big blast by Colby Rasmus. 1 in the 5th, 2 in the 8th, and Green pops 1 foul. We saw this young man last night, Jesse Chavez, and then ran into trouble in the 9th, so then they had to bring in Matt Capps. This will be his 16th appearance. A record of 0-1. Opponent sitting nearly 240 against him. Green with a single in the 2nd, a bunt hit in the 4th, and flied out to right. That's a foul ball, 0-2.
Good pitch in on the hands of Green, as Chavez was charged with the run last night. He left a couple runners on, and when Capps came in, gave up a RBI base hit to Albert Pujols that was charged against Jesse.
Oh, 2 pitch. A little bit low, 1-2. Tyler Green has played well here tonight. Khalil Green with the night off. And I would assume, Al, you'd have Khalil probably back in the starting lineup tomorrow.
We would assume so.
I guess you never assume with Tony, do you?
No.
Moss makes the catch. Tyler Green 2 for 4 on the night. Here's Joe Thurston.
There's Khalil there as he's getting the day off, and Thurston 0 for 3 in the night. Average has dropped down to 242 now.
Little chopper to second. Underhanded there by Sanchez, 2 away.
Stavinoa will hit here in the pitcher spot.
I think Stavinoa was telling me before the game he actually caught a game.
I saw that. You know, he'd been primarily playing first base, but doing a little catching this year.
He was catching, he said. I said, were you sore the next day? He said, you wouldn't believe it. Now, he was a catcher in college that was converted to the outfield and then has played a little first base as well.
Guess
So he would be your
in there.
Yeah, and that's the idea. But he would be your emergency catcher if you needed him.
That'd keep you in the big leagues a long time.
Stavanoa, fly ball out to left, sends us to the bottom of the ninth. 5-1 Cardinals. Want to remind you that we have baseball tomorrow night with Milwaukee in town, and this is our Budweiser Great American Lager. Great player of the game, and it's Colby Rasmus with his 2-run homer early on. 1 for 4 on the night, 2-run shot. Also hit the ball hard a couple of times, and it just looks like, you know, Rasmus starting to turn the corner a little bit and getting locked in at the plate.
First, you're a little awed by the major league experience. Remember, he's been a very slow starter in his minor league career, and you see Ryan Franklin will come in for the 15th time. He's 1-0. He got the win in his last outing where he blew his first save of the year, but gave up a couple of home runs in that ball game. Did pick up the victory, and now he's going to try and close it out. He's tied for second in the National League with his 9 saves, and he hasn't pitched since Sunday.
Ramon Vasquez, who is a pinch hitter from the left side, will bat here to start the bottom of the ninth. Then we'll see Niger Morgan and Freddie Sanchez.
You don't mind seeing a left-hander go up there against Ryan Franklin. He's very good at neutralizing those lefties.
Again, what does it say about what Tony La Russa wants to do with this game, the way that he has managed it? Boggs, Miller, McClellan, Reyes, Perez, now Franklin, your closer in a 5-1 game. He's not messing around.
You need to win this game to share the lead in the Central Division with your opponent tomorrow night.
Also, Franklin maybe needed a little bit of work after his game on Sunday. Hasn't pitched since then.
I think it's the right thing to do. You know, it's not a save situation. Thinking it was, but you know, not paying attention. But you know, you don't want your closer going 4 or 5 days without work.
1-1 pitch. Here's a ground ball hit to second. All important first out in the books. It's Joe Thurston at second base. Barton is at third. And quickly 1 down.
A couple more outs, and Boggs will retain that stat where the Cardinals have won every game he has started.
Which will be 4 now. But the concern is 4 1/3. His last 2 starts against Pittsburgh. One game 86 pitches, the other one 83 to get to 4 1/3.
And because Tony wanted this game so badly, took him out when he did in the 5th inning.
Morgan, a good night. He's been on base 4 times, 2 walks, 2 singles.
And it was one of those situations where Boggs, you know, got himself in trouble, but he escaped many times. So even though it was 80-some pitches, you know, he pitched under pressure every inning.
Backhanded by Albert Pujols. Covering Franklin for out number 2. So there's 2 outs. Good play there by Pujols, who's been a part of a couple of double plays tonight.
Ball hit sharply, backhands it, and then Franklin has to have the foot race with his speedy Morgan. Gets over and cuts it off.
So it's up to Freddie Sanchez to extend the game.
He was 3 for 4 in the night.
Two outs, no runners on. First pitch, a strike. One thing about Franklin, efficiency. You know, for the most part, every time he's out there, he's very efficient.
He's very good at retiring that first batter. He's retired 14 of the first 15 batters he's faced.
0-1 pitch, here it comes. That's strike 2. You see on his glove right there, the finger, it's covered up to make sure he's not tipping pitches. A little extra piece of leather there over the index finger.
Some of the other, and that's a piece that's been added where that type of glove would have the index finger, you know, shown out there, and a lot of times you will lift that finger on different pitches. So it was a way to keep from telegraphing what was coming.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Sanchez, a check swing. Pujols ranging to his right. Franklin is there, and the Cardinals win it. They salvage a game in this series. 5-1 our final tonight. On our way home for a 9-game homestand beginning tomorrow. U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live coming up. The final 5-1 tonight.
Game is over. Cardinals get a win. Jack Clark and I are here to break this one down. Jack, getting a W, very important tonight.
Well, they needed it coming back home. They got a long homestand, so they'll be in a hurry to get on that plane and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, 2-4, I should say, on that road trip. More on that coming up. Mr. K as well. Mitchell Boggs on the hill. Could he get the first win for the Cardinals starters in a week? Plus, what's happened to the Cardinals plate discipline? Our resident slugger will break it down. We'll take you inside the Cardinal clubhouse back in Pittsburgh. Tony La Russa's comments as well. And we'll get you ready for this weekend's bid series with the Brewers. Maybe your birthday, George Lucas, but our producer, Matt Kleinwan, thinks you ruined the Star Wars franchise. He doesn't want you to ruin this show. U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live's coming up next.